You see, when we go into current events, especially dealing with this war versus Ukraine and Russia, but really a war of the worlds, we must travel back in the past and find out what really happened before our time. And I just want to let the people know there's nothing new under the sun. Like I heard this young clown dude on YouTube says, "What do I care about this old stuff? I only want to make money." But the thing about making money, whenever you make money, at some point in time, you are going to travel in the past to see how ones before you made this money so you can make this money a little bit better or a little bit easier. Like I would tell my people that gain, when ones talk about gain to me means getting all money easy. But that's not the point of this video. So when we go back into the past, we find out that in the late 90s, early 2000s, Saddam Hussein, he went from selling oil in US dollars to going against that to do his own thing. And he started to sell barrels of oil in euro dollars. So now that's when we get into what this video is about. The oil wars and the power of oil on this planet. So when Saddam Hussein changed to the euro dollar, crashing and stopping the US dollar from being the main currency used to buy oil, the American government had a problem. George Bush, to be exact. And when America go to war for their oil, they would tell the people of that country or that city that they're doing this in the name of liberty. So now you see and understand where my name Cobra Commander come in at. Because Cobra was fighting against what you might call the cabal or the Illuminati, those so-called Jews, those bankers. You must be able to follow the breadcrumbs, the trail. When anything's happening on the world level or in America, you must follow the money and see who stands to benefit from this war or this collapse. So when Saddam went from the US dollar to the euro dollar, the American government and the American military waged war on the people of Iraq under the disguise of searching for weapons of mass destruction. It was a great war behind that, a great fight, but it was all about the oil. Same thing with Kuwait. Ones was going for the oil and making plays on the oil. So whenever you mess with the oil, which is the blood of the earth, Gaia, Pangea, or just the planet. Oil is the blood of the planet. You must understand this. We need oil on this planet. Those dinosaurs that made fossil fuel, it's so many things that come in from making oil. Products that we use in our everyday households. The lubrication of oil is needed to make our machines move. So when Saddam did this move, as history tells us, the military went at him with both barrels ablazing. And it wasn't just him who they went after. Because at that time, the East, the OPEC nations, the Arab nations was running the oil industry. And this go back in the 70s when the Arabics first came on the scene. And the reason why the OPEC or the Arabic nations came on the scene was because the U.S. military aided and funded a war with Israel. They took sides with Israel, the Israelis. And so to give a big fuck you to Richard Nixon and the American government, OPEC nations decided to sell in euros. And this is when we have the emergence of the petrodollar. So when you get into the petrodollar means what Melvin said in Baby Boy, guns and butter. What is the guns? The guns is war. What is the butter? The butter is institutions, social programs that this government makes to spread their propaganda, to cripple your country with their ideology and their thinking process. So this is why you have certain countries ban YouTube or ban rap music. Why? So their country won't have so much of American influence from the movies, from just certain literature that's from America is banned in certain countries. Even when you do YouTube videos, you put up certain content. If you use somebody else's content like a known artist, they will tell you, oh, this music is banned in XYZ country. So now we go back into this war for this oil. Venezuela was one of the biggest countries that produce oil. What's their president name? I think it's Hugo Chavez or something like that. He also did what Saddam did. He went from the US dollar to the euro dollar. And in turn, America made attempts to cripple their country. Didn't necessarily wage war on it, but crippled their country with different sanctions. So this government will do what it needs to do in order to have these resources flowing and pumping. So when you hear these sanctions on Russia, you hear it's a sanction on the petroleum, the crude oil. Now you're hearing countries like India is saying, fuck America, fuck NATO. We're going to buy this oil, this petroleum from Russia at a good price. Because at the end of the day, it's still business. And so since it's still business, ones don't care about being cutthroat. Because before all this happened, America was on a gold standard. But before they went from the gold standard, they was dealing with the British pound. But the wars of World War I crippled Europe. World War I and II. And since America wasn't war-torn, the countries of the world decided to keep their gold inside the Federal Reserve, which was made in 1913. You understand? War jumped off. World War I jumped off like 1912, 1914. I believe it's like 1912 though. Started with a small country. A little small country like Ukraine. A little country close to Ukraine. I forget the name of the country. But when that war started, because one of they generals got assassinated in 1912. June of 1912, the next month later, World War I was in the process. And you had different nations in the alliance. Same as now. And one of the main things they was doing was cutting off resources, cutting off supplies. No different than what's going on right now. So it's important for us to pay attention to history or his story, so you can know your next plan of action. Because it's most definitely real. This is past a Cold War. This is an actual war. And as tensions escalate, the American military will get involved. Because right now, they're just putting out sanctions and supplying weapons. But after a while, Russia will cut off that weapon supply. Sooner or later, it will affect China. Sooner or later, it will affect Britain. So when these certain countries get affected, and when Russia take the war to NATO countries and NATO lands, the escalation of war can only be more greater. See, what the people is not really understanding, who don't know, or maybe who don't care. You got superpowers that's gearing up, ready to get involved in this. Like I said right now, and I told y'all in a couple of videos before, that China is setting up to take over Taiwan. They just occupied 3 islands not too far from them. So they're setting up military spots on islands that's not even approved by the World Court. So basically, they just took these islands and said, this is ours, we stamping our flag, and they're putting up military equipment there. With the idea and the mindset, looking deeper into the future that there might be more war soon. So they're getting prepared. So now you're seeing the global chessboard where everybody is making moves on this chessboard. Everybody is moving pieces. You're seeing certain pieces get snapped, certain pieces get popped here and there. We haven't been in this war for 2 or 3 months, and already Russia is talking about nuclear warfare. But let me slow down. Like and subscribe and share this message out. Support this message. I see my fellow YouTubers and my fellow content creators supporting everything but this real shit. One thing about what I'm saying is gonna last forever. Because what I'm saying, you can always go to it. It's always gonna be a time where ones can go to it and gain strength or inspiration or motivation or idea from my words. You can't gain no real motivation listening to these YouTubers talking about these celebrities. You can't learn nothing. You can't feed that to the babies. You can't feed me what's going on with a YouTuber or somebody in his chat. You can't feed that to the babies. The babies can't grow with that. And so for you people who be in support of this, saying 100, going out your way to hit that like button, hit the like button on this motherfucker. Because this real shit. And we ain't saying nothing about no celebrity. We ain't trying to expose no YouTuber. We ain't trying to expose nobody in the chat rooms. What we're trying to do, we're trying to expose this beast. What once called the devil. Because as you see, devilish things are going on. But like and sub. Peace.
The Middle East is fucked. We should know. We fucked it. 6 of the 10 fastest growing economies are in sub-Saharan Africa. Countries rich in mineral wealth. Coltan for our computers, cobalt for our batteries, phosphates for our agriculture, nuclear ore for our power. These are the things, gentlemen, that the wars of the next 20, 30 years will be fought over. A huge deposit of cobalt was discovered in Mali just over 2 years ago. Back then, we approached the Malian government about mining rights. They told us that those rights were going to the Chinese. So we set about to create the conditions to make sure that wouldn't happen. Just last week, one of our Australian subsidiaries, thank you, Lachlan, secured those rights. Our pilot project in Mali hit a few bumps, but I'm delighted to report that it worked. And if it can work there, there's no reason it can't work in other mineral-rich countries across Africa. We create the chaos, and then we move in and capitalize on that chaos. We're looking at the long term here, gentlemen. Rates of return that'll make Iraq and Afghanistan look like chicken feed.